Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I want to welcome you to today's edition of Word on Fire. And this is your spiritual thought leader, Regina L. Stillman, with my bootleg sisters. My sister Sheila and Anita should be on her way back. She was in a second ago and we lost her there for a second, but I hope she'll make it back before we end up. But Sheila, go ahead and greet the people on this morning. Let's just say this afternoon.
Hello, hello. Word on Fire is all good and happy holidays to everyone.
Yes, 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 yes. We definitely want to say happy holidays and Merry Christmas for those that will be celebrating Christmas on this Friday. And also, we're waiting for BTD Mom, otherwise known as my other bootleg sister, Anita Harvey. We're waiting on her to make it back. Hey, BTD Mom, I thought you was going to make it back up in the house. I don't know what happened, but nonetheless, if you can make it back in, you're definitely welcome to come on back. But happy birthday to you, because that's exactly what I was getting ready to say. As soon as you make it back, I was going to wish you a happy birthday. And she
Happy,
is
happy
our
birthday.
Yes, she is our family's Christmas present. She was born on Christmas Day. And so we are so blessed by the gift that she is to our family and everybody else that she touches. So we feel really, really good about her. So if BTD Mom or my other bootleg sister doesn't make it back in, God bless you. And we're going to go ahead. Today, we may not have a long and lengthy, drawn out conversation, but I want to stay on the topic of, that our normal path is Jesus, the complete sayings of Jesus. And that's what we've been studying the whole entire time that we've been on broadcast with Word on Fire. Today, because of the holiday, and because I feel again that we are moving into an age that is different from the ages of before. It's the age of God, as I'm calling it, the I am that I am, and understanding that I am has sent me. We've had the age of law where everything revolved around the law that God had given to Moses, but we saw that the law was weak and was not able to do what it needed to do in relationship with you all, as far as coming into that spiritual place. BTD Mom, I may send you another link and see if we can get you back in. But at the end of the day, the law could not do it. So then we saw the season of the church when Jesus was born. Christ was born in Bethlehem, and the death, the birth, death, and burial and resurrection of Christ then ushered in the age of the church. And I am bold enough to say, with all of my heart, I believe that what we have seen in the age of the church is that the church can't do it either. That with all of the trappings of the presbytery and all the trappings of the ecclesia, as we have drifted farther and farther away from, we understand Jesus as having come with a mission. I feel like in so many ways we've lost the mission and the ministry and the message of Christ as we've moved farther and farther into our hierarchies and systems that really revolve more around man and the structure of the church. I believe that we have come into an age currently where God is going to be God, and we're going to see the manifestation of I am that I am, and no longer a leadership and a hierarchy in the presbytery and the ecclesia, but everybody's moved, everybody's called, everybody is moving and anointed in this day, in this hour. So that's where I am, and that's where I wanted to go, because I believe even as we had the alignment, and my sister Sheila really gave, even this morning in O Cubed, such a positive word on our word of the day, which was synergy. That really what we saw in the great convergence of the two planets, Jupiter and Saturn, in alignment, the two planets in perfect alignment made what appeared to be a star in the sky. And if we can come together in our alignment, and as we come together in our alignment, God will pull us together so that we can shine more brightly than we've ever seen. That being said, I felt compelled and wanted to go a little bit differently today. And I knew my sisters could wing it, so I wasn't worried about that. So this is hot off the press, y'all. Hot off the press. Hot off my press too, because it just birthed in my spirit. This is the direction I really want to go and be led of the cloud, pillar of cloud by day, a pillar of fire by night. You're going to hear me talk about that a little bit later on, and you heard me on Sunday talk about it as well. But I want us to understand that we are models of God's glory. We're coming today from Isaiah, the 60th chapter, verses 1 through 3. And again, our concept today, and the concept I want you to take away, whether we talk a whole hour worth or not, I want you to understand that we, as we come into the age of God and the I am that I am, we are models of God's glory. The word of the Lord says, and I'm reading from the NIV version, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the people, but the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn." And I'm gonna stop right there. And y'all know I'm in a liberation theology right now, so you know this is really a word of liberation to God's people. I want to go back to that first verse. "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." And Sheila, that's kind of where I'm taking this idea of modeling, almost like the concept of in the winter going into prior to the coming year, how they will have where all the models gather together and they'll have one big fashion show. And I'm reminded even of the show that came on for a while, America's Top Models. Then they also had other fashion shows, the one with Mr. Gunn, I can't think of the name of it, but they would do that. And Fashion Week would be about bringing in the models. Hey, we got a raid going on. Welcome Raiders. Hey Michelle, good to see you. Oh, I'm going to hear you all roar. Thank you for coming. Rebel Inc., thank you for the raid on today. I appreciate you. Welcome to Raiders. I love you guys. I really do. So I'm coming from this concept on verse 1 that we are models of God's glory. So I'm taking that idea and I'm kind of incorporating it into the idea that just like Fashion Week, because we don't know what the fashion is going to be that next year, what the color is going to be that next year, the trends are going to be next year. They actually bring the models, and the idea is that you put it on that model. They walk down that runway, they strut it the best way they can, because at the end of the day, you want the world at large to know what the fashion is for the upcoming season. And I'm saying to us, even as we're talking about coming into the age of God and the I am that I am, and I am has sent us, that idea that in this season and in this age, we are those models. And it's almost like we are in, if I can call it, Fashion Week, and that God is really preparing us and bringing us into a place to really show what it is that he's created us to be. And therein the arise, shine, because the light has come. I heard one preacher say lights, camera, action, and the glory of the Lord. All of this that we talked about and looked external to the glory being in the earth, the Lord is now saying, and the glory of the Lord is come, and it's risen on you, each one of us. And I'm gonna go back to, like we said on Sunday, the cloven tongues like as of fire, to really model this thing with synergy and energy for this next phase. And tell me how you feel about
that. I feel it's the same way. And even when you went back to the alignment of the planets and how they, because of their closeness and conjunction with one another, how that amplified their light so that they appeared like a star. But even that light is reflected light. And that's what I see us as individuals. We are receiving the light from God. The light is inside us because of him. And
yes.
So that is what we reflect. And as we work together in synergy, that light is intensified.
Absolutely. And my mind goes, as even as you were talking, you know how we used to sing "This Little Light of Mine" in card class at church, and then we had that little verse that said, "Hide it under the bushel." No, you know, it's that same concept that as we talk about the light and the light shining, and the light is God, and it's within us, Christ in us, the hope of glory, and greater is He that's in us than anything that's in the world. And I'm mindful when we sang that little verse and did that little second, hide it under a bushel. You know, nobody takes the candle and puts it under a bushel. I feel like for some season in time, because it wasn't time yet, it wasn't the age yet, that we've had people that have had a fullness of light, and not saying that no light has shone. That's not what I'm saying. But as we're coming into this next phase and coming into this next time and season, I do feel like what is the Spirit is doing is kind of like pushing us in our backs and saying, okay, it's time for this fashion show. It's time, and I'm going back to that concept of Fashion Week, but it's time for you to no longer be hidden. It's time for you no longer to step back from the glory of God that's risen on you. It's really manifest time. It's a manifestation of what God has put on you, in you, and for you, and through you. Now go forth down that runway and strut your walk. So that's really how I see it. And even as you were saying, that conjunction and alignment makes it even greater. So it's like, as you're going and as I align myself in that line going down that center part of the stage and the runway, the light is even greater because we're all reflecting God's light that's within us, and then together it comes forth in even a greater way. So share with me a little bit on there. There's my other beautiful sister. There she is. Good morning. I know. I'm glad you came on back, girl. I'm glad you came on back.
Yes.
I'm so happy to see you. And once more, and again, happy birthday to you a little early.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, my beautiful sisters.
Yes. Look at now. I just want y'all to take in the glory of these lights. I mean, because the light on these sisters is cutting up today. Y'all cutting up today. I love it. I love it. So I was touching on how is Stella? I was touching a little bit on, listen, we love to laugh, and that's the way we flow. I was touching on the idea that we are called right now, as the glory of God has risen upon us, to be the models and to not hide the glory that God has given us. And I'm gonna put that right there and let you all comment.
Well, when you said that, what really came up in my spirit is that the excitement and the pageantry and the ability to see the trends as the models strut the runway have to do with them being coordinated. You know, yes. If you go out there and you do your strut and everybody's ooh, ah, hey, that's it. That's, but as you finish what you're doing, the next one has to be coming. They have to be, you can't have a dead spot in there. So to me, that symbolizes that we all depend on each other. I can't say, well, I don't have her walk, so I'm just going to, hang back. Or, she's a slim model and I'm a plus size, so I'm just going to, kind of hide my light under the bushel. No, all of us have to go out there, girl. If you're strutting it and it swings, just let it swing.
Swing your thingy. I'm not mad. If it swings, let it swing. And you heard it right here on Word on Fire. I love it. I love it. And be full and able to embrace all that you are. And don't feel, as you said, that you have to downplay or turn it down because of everybody else that you're standing with, because we're all one in this together. It's a cohesive collection, because that's usually what they'll do at Fashion Week. They don't just bring out pieces. The people that have created the fashion make collections. And I think that's significant significant for us to know that God, as the one who has orchestrated this, has made collections. He's not just
Yes.
sending us out piece by piece, but he's made collections. Come on, that's beautiful. BTD Mom, Anita, did you have anything to add to that?
No, child, I ate that up.
You just eating and drinking and being merry, I see. It's okay. It's your birthday. It's your birthday.
Tis the season, child.
I love it. So and as we continue on, so that's where I want to come with the modeling first and foremost, that we're in a season to model. Oh, and the other thing that I want to say before I move from that verse, you will not see a model at Fashion Week coming down that runway without confidence. Mm-hmm. Because one of the first things they want you to do is show confidence in that walk, because that creates a whole different feel to the collection. Now, if you come out there and you're mamby-pambying down that runway and you don't really give strength to what it is that you're presenting and what you're wearing. And so my mind immediately went to that scripture that said, awake, awake, O Zion, put on your strength. It's that idea that when I come down that idea, I'm coming down, come down that runway, rather, I'm coming down the idea with the strength and the confidence of the Lord. And I've got to wake up and put on my strength and not be slowful or sleepy or sluggard about the strength that's on me. Again, we're still talking about the glory of the Lord that's on you, on me. And I want us to take this thing personally. So what do you feel as the way of people, as they're moving into this new place, really being able to walk in the confidence and the strength of God?
Well, you know, before they pick the models, that designer wants to see that strut, because he wants to make sure you can handle what he's going to put down the aisle. So sometimes those things that we call trials and tribulations, he just wants to see how you going to strut. I gave you what I gave you. Now, how you going to strut with that?
I love it. I love it. SK 8843. Sheila, you got anything on that?
I totally agree with what both of you have said. And, you know, the thing is, however whatever is in you, that's what you've got to put out there. You know, some models walk, they got kind of a little bounce or a little, you know, dip, or there's something unique about each walk.
Yes, yes.
And yes, confidence is the unifying factor. But I can't go out there and do your walk or Anita's walk, and you can't go out there and try to mimic my walk. Whatever it is that's authentically in you, that is the light that is emanating from you, it is your own, and you should not downplay it or allow anybody else to downplay it.
Oh, y'all about to make me jump up and start running, because I listen, this is a word. This is a rich word up in here. So in that reality, walk your walk, beloved. If you hear what's coming, walk your walk. Don't try to walk somebody else's. Strut your stuff in what God has dressed you in and what God has put in you. And so I want us, but at the same time, I want us to really, really help people to come into that confidence, because I think so many times we've almost been crushed down and taught a crushed down kind of mindset and mentality. And I want us to begin to rise up and again, that scripture, when I see it, arise, awake, O Zion, arise and put on your strength. I almost see this coming forth, almost like somebody that just begins to, just like the Incredible Hulk when he's going through that transformation from David Banner to the Incredible Hulk, and clothes start bursting. And I mean, you see all of these muscles start popping. I want us to really begin as we come into the I am, and I am has sent me. He's not sending us down that runway, as Anita said. Many of the circumstances in our life was really our test. How are you going to walk down this runway? I love that. That was good. How are you going to walk down this runway? And I want to see you practice the walk before I put you out there for the real show. And so I'm looking at it. I'm saying, oh my God. But I think all of us can testify. We've had many circumstances that have put us on that runway to test our walk.
Yes.
To test our strut. It was not to destroy us. It was to give that opportunity before we get out there and hear lights, camera, action. It's to give us that opportunity to really make sure I got this strut and this walk together. That's my take on it. Listen, Royal Confessions done showed up. Shake what your mama gave you.
That's right. That's right.
I love it. And since you all have the same mother, there's a whole lot of shaking and walking to be done. Walk it out, girls. Walk it out. Listen, and we plan to do just that. And that word is for everybody. Shake what God has given you with confidence. And there's no negativity in this word. It really is a matter of saying, let's arise to the occasion and really do this thing for real. Let's do this thing for real. And let's make God manifest.
Yes.
So many times I'm like, man, we talk about magnifying and glorifying God, but what I feel like we magnify more times is almost like a weakness and a fear, and I'm running away. But the God I serve is strong and mighty. And I think that as we begin to understand, as y'all know, Mama used to say, don't y'all got out here looking like no orphans.
Yeah.
And basically what she was saying, when you go out that door, you go out representing John and Anna.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not going to go out looking like you represent John and Anna, don't you walk out that door till you're ready.
That's
and
right.
I think, you know, we want to take that same mindset. We represent the I am, and I am has sent us. Then we want to walk out that door representing. We're not going out like some orphans.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you all know it's pronounced orphan, but my mother calls them orphans. So that we ain't going out like that. Now, the next verse, see, darkness covers the earth and thick darkness is over the people. But the Lord rises where? Upon you, and his glory appears over you. And I want us again to take this concept. I'm going to go back to the pillars of fire by night and the clouds, pillars of cloud by day, that God is now getting ready to push us out there because there's darkness over the earth. I mean, it's a thick darkness, and that's exactly where we are right now, but that's not a roadblock. That's a bridge that's getting ready to carry us over into the next phase. I've been saying so often, when you see the disruptions are just to let us know change is ahead. That's all the disruption is for. It's not to shake us up. Now, see, darkness covers the earth and the people, but the Lord rises upon you and his glory appears over you. And then I'm going to go ahead and read this next verse because I want to kind of conjoin and combine these two thoughts together. Nations will come to your light and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Now, the same way I've been talking collectively about the pillar of fire by night and the pillar of cloud by day, I feel like that's twofold. We have a pillar and a cloud that we follow, but I also, when I look at that last verse, verse number 3, nations will come to your light and king to the brightness of your dawn, and conjoin that with darkness that's covering the earth. I want to say that even in this transitional phase, God is really using us as the pillar of fire by night. Are you with me? Because when we look at the darkness, and it says, and thick darkness, not just darkness, but thick darkness is over the people. There's a darkness over the earth, but there's a thick darkness over the people. But the Lord is risen upon you and his glory appears over you. So that's where I'm coming back to. I believe not only will God give us a pillar of fire by night in our personal journey, not only will he give us a pillar of cloud by day in our personal journey, but in this instance, for us to make this transition into this new age, I believe that we are the pillars of fire by night. We're the night that covers the darkness of the earth and the thick darkness over the people. When they see the light, and that's the thing, when they can look up and see the blazing fire. And many times when you hear me talk about fire, I equate that to passion. When they see you blazing with passion, when they see you blazing with the love of God for the people of God, when they see you blazing with success and the idea of confidence, and we can do this, and together and combined, we can make a difference, and when they see that, nations will come to our light, because at that point, the beauty of it being so dark is the fact that since it's so dark, your light is that much more profound. So not only do we have the pillar that we're looking for in our own personal lives, but I want us to understand why we need to arise, because we are also the pillar of fire by night to the world. And I'll stop right there and let you all say what you think.
Well, just being the light, that's the glory. That's where his glory shines. And the darker it gets, the more your light is going to shine. So when people come to you, there was a time when there was so much darkness around me that I thought, until I was like, these people keep coming and asking me questions. They asking me about this. They asking me about that. And I said, Lord, I don't even, why are they coming to me? Because they were drawn. I'm learning that they were drawn. It's not that you have to be all that, but just as long as you just let your light shine, they're going to see your light. And there are those looking for a light, and they will come. So when you got people coming to you and saying, Regina, what do you think about this? Or this. Or Sheila, what do you think about this? And you'd be like, now why they ask me that? Out the clear blue. That's because they saw your light. And that light drew them. And so they knew that you had an answer or a word for them in that time.
Come on. That's a word. That's a word. That's a word. Sis?
Well, what this scripture brought to my mind is that there is a darkness in the earth. And so our way of living, or as in the Bible it was called our conversation, but your lifestyle should shine so that the general public around you see who you are and see who God is through you.
Yes.
Then it says the people particularly have a thick darkness.
Come on.
And to me, what that says to me is there are people who have not received love from the people who should have loved them, even parents sometimes.
Come on. Come on.
And so in order to penetrate that deep, profound darkness, you have to get on a personal level with them and really show love. And at first it may or may not be easy because they have not been shown love to the point that they really trust it. You know, some people always think that if somebody is nice to them, they're trying to get something from them.
Yes.
But what this says to me is that as a model of God's light, there are situations where, you know, even I may live generally in a way that shows his light. I may have to get specific with certain people and really show light that penetrates that deep darkness.
Now that's a word. That's a word. That is a word. And I love how you differentiate the deep darkness that's covering the people as separated from the darkness that's in the earth. Because when you have a situation where you've been devastated, you've been wounded, you've been hurt, that's not just darkness covering out there in the external, out there somewhere. That is deep darkness that comes from within. That darkness that's within, that's been planted and impregnated in your spirit because of some devastation, hurt, disappointment, whatever. And you may have to really get down deeper than that superficial darkness that's out, because the deep darkness that covers the people, that's a whole nother arena. And as we get to that point, we talked about other tongues on the other day, on Sunday, and talked from the concept that, again, those other tongues, and I think BTD Mom Anita said this in her response on it. She said it's a matter of understanding how to deal with people and relationships, and getting into that point of not just having the external, but when you can relationally begin to have other tongues where you can go where people are. And again, I want to reiterate, other tongues often were not the tongues that were known to that individual. And so I want to, when they were speaking them, I want to interject that as well, because when the light and the glory of God has risen upon us, he may, even as Anita said, put us in situations where people start walking up to us and they're like, why are you coming to me? I don't even know you and you don't know me. But the glory of the Lord is risen upon you, and you have the answer for them for that time, whatever it may be, and they're drawn to that light. Sometimes it may require, as then Sheila said, where you go to a deeper level because it's a deep darkness. It's not something just superficial. And I really want to say that may be where the age of the church sometimes has missed it, because when we need to get in the deep darkness, we don't want to deal with the deep personal darkness of the people. We're comfortable dealing with the darkness that covers the earth. And there is a difference. Y'all understand what I'm saying?
There's a difference, because when you're dealing with the darkness of that person, you have an individual word for that person. Everybody you greet, I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm blessed and highly, to the point to when I come to see you, I might not even greet you because I know you already blessed and highly favored. But if I really want to get to know something for real, then you have an individual word for that person. And a lot of times when you're saying something to people, you don't even think it's that much, but it means that much to that person. And that's the issue. Are you reaching that person?
Come on, come on, Sheila.
So true. I agree.
And as I look at that, I want to come to the last point there, and then I'm going to put us kind of in another thought, but still how we're going to progress from here. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Now, I do want to emphasize the usage and the choice and selection of the wording. It did not say nations will come to the light, and nations and kings to the brightness of the dawn. It said that nations will come to your light and kings to the brightness of your dawn, meaning that because the glory of the Lord is risen on you, and you may already be in dawn while they're still in darkness. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? They're still in yesterday, but you already have started the dawning of a new day. And so they begin to come to the dawning of your new day. So that I really want to say this, where we as the models are not constantly waiting for the light and the dawn, but you just go ahead and get your light and move forward in your dawn, and then the people come to your light and your dawn. And it may not have been where they were, but when they see your light in their darkness, it will draw them to your new day, so that they'll want to actually walk away and leave that old day that they have been living in and let that go and start in the brightness of your dawn. Now, what do y'all think about that?
That was good.
Exactly what I was going to say. That's good.
I want us to think about that, because so many times we're like, we're waiting for the new day or a new day and a new dawn, but it's like, you can have your own. You know what? I don't have to sit in a place of yesterday when my spirit is ready to go ahead and embrace and completely take a new dawning. And if I would just be bold enough, if I would just be confident enough, if I would just be, and sometimes even different enough. And I'm not saying getting out trying to be different, but sometimes it is, because y'all back here in yesterday, I'm ready to latch on to a new dawn. Y'all can stay back there and hold on to that, because that's familiar. It's comfortable. It's what you've known. It's traditional. It makes sense. All of those things that give you comfort. And sometimes just to be led again by the glory of the Lord that's risen on you, and say, those clothes don't fit me. And let me put it that way, going back to our analogy of the models. Listen, either you're going to have to adjust, take up, or whatever, but that's not fitting me. And y'all know they'll have the tailors right there on the spot. And whatever is not fitting correctly to that particular model, they'll be on point, on the spot to make those adjustments as needed. And to me, that's even the work of the Holy Spirit. It's right there on the spot, and it's ready. Whatever adjustments don't fit, whatever's not slinging, because even when you walk down the aisle, there's a certain way they want that fabric to swing, and if it's not swinging the way they want it to swing, they gonna go back and do whatever they have to do. Listen, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. You gotta get that swing on. You gotta get the swing on that fabric just right. So I may need to go back and change that. But because I'm ready to embrace the newness of what I'm wearing and what I've been clothed in and what I've put on, I'm ready to come to my new dawn. I'm not going to keep wearing last year's fashion. And that's the way I'll put that.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I also say, going back to the image of the modeling, don't predetermine your audience or prejudge your audience. Because I can see, Twiggy walking down the runway, and I can look at that outfit and I say, well, that's really not the way it would fit me, but I can still rock that.
Come on. You better rock. Listen, the Rebel Ink is on you all day long. That is so true. You may not rock it like the next girl rocks it or the next guy rocks it, but you can rock it. And again, a lot of it depends on when you put it on. There's some people that can wear everything because they have that confidence that allows them to wear everything. And then other people, you can tell you almost are cringing when they're walking down because you're almost like, you can tell they are so uncomfortable in what they are on. It makes you uncomfortable. So again, understand it may not fit me. All three of us have different body shapes, different body styles, but we all three can look at something and say, I can rock that and rock it the way that we rock it. Come on here. Neat, you got something on that?
No, I'm eating that up because see, when you rock it, and then you're gonna accessorize it to the way that you can rock it the way you feel comfortable. Cause see, now some of y'all, I can't wear no turtleneck all the way up my neck. I can't do that because I got all them tights. I ready to rock. So, but now some people, they can wear them blouses that go all the way down to their navel, all open like that, because they ain't gonna show nothing. They can rock that. I can rock that. But just because she can rock it, don't mean I need to go in there and try to do, because I know I can't rock it like that. But I can sew it up a little bit, and get it together.
Come on, girl, take the girls down.
That's right. You got to make those alterations so you can flaunt it the way you can flaunt it.
That's it. That's it. And at the end of the day, God has given you what you have. Now flaunt it, use it, model it, and as the glory of God. And I'm saying it, we're not talking about being caught up in ego and I'm stuck up in all of this kind of stank stuff. I'm talking about when I come into the fullness of the spirit of who I am and in the glory of the Lord. Model that thing, wear that thing. I mean, walk it out, walk that thing, And so as we come into that place again, now I'm ready to be different. I'm ready to not, because again, the thing about Fashion Week is that we're introducing something that hasn't been seen before. And that's a little bit why I wanted to come here today again, as we're talking about the age of God and I am that I am and I am has sent me. I want us to understand we're introducing something that hasn't been seen before. Then when we bring it down the aisle, when we birth it into the earth, we've got to do it in a way that the people that are watching and observing, as it said, nations will come to your light and kings to the brightness of your dawn. As they're sitting and they're observing you walk in your light and walk in your dawn, you want it to be such that what's the idea of Fashion Week? Now everybody's going to leave from here and they're going to want what we just modeled.
That's right.
They're going to purchase what we just, I often say to my sister's dismay, y'all ain't buying what I'm selling. She told me that's counterproductive. But I say it as a saying, y'all ain't buying what I'm selling, but this is what you want. You want them to buy what you're selling. You want them to buy into the concept, into the flow, into whatever it is that God has given you. And you want to make it, and it will become attractive if you just be what God made you to be. It will be attractive. If you just flow in what God gave you to flow in, it will be attractive. If you let all the alterations that need to happen in all the places that need to be altered and changed, if you let all of that happen, you will be flattering and you will be attractive. And when it's attractive, they just want it.
Yes. All right.
So true. And it also, I feel, because if you're willing to walk in your uniqueness and be all that God made you to be, not diminish yourself because you're afraid somebody's going to say, oh, she thinks she's all that, or try to aggrandize yourself because you're trying to fit somebody else's mold. But if you really are willing to walk in your own unique purpose and be the person that God made you, I think that people looking on start to lose that fear of their own uniqueness.
Come
You know,
on.
they see you walking with authenticity, then they're like, yeah, you know, I think I can just be me. I
Yes.
don't have to be who this person and that person in this tradition and that tradition told me that I have to be. It's okay for me to be exactly who God made me.
Come on. That's a good point. When you walk in confidence and make it comfortable for others to be comfortable with themselves. And again, I'm gonna go back and say, I think this is maybe where we've missed the boat. And I'm not gonna identify any specific organization or what I want to say, facet of whatever in life. I just want to say, wherever we are and whatever we're doing, when we are comfortable with ourselves, it makes it comfortable for other people to be comfortable with themselves also. And when
Right.
we, on the flip side of that, as I believe we've done in the past, we teach people how to not be themselves. We teach people how to come on and try to look like, walk like, talk like, act like other people that is really not them. Then we get this level and place of discomfort that's in the environment because it messes up the energy. It's not a free flow
Right.
energy when you're trying to be somebody that you're not. When you're trying to act a certain way that is not you, when you're trying to, I got to have a certain vernacular in the way that I speak, who says the man of God? Nobody says that. You don't call people man of God. Where do you get that from? And I'm just using that for an example. So then you get up to introduce the speaker next Sunday and all of a sudden you're talking about, and we're going to hear from the man of God. What are you doing? So all of a sudden this whole energy is disrupted and uncomfortable. And then we start wondering, why am I feeling so uncomfortable? Because we've taken on personas and all kinds of things. That's really not even us, but we're imitating what we've heard people say and do. And then at the end of the day, I am not myself.
That's right.
And you know what scripture it makes me think of in this moment? It's not really the way I've heard it exposited before, but I really feel it in my spirit. God is saying, don't be conformed to this world.
Come on.
But be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Your mind.
Come on.
Renew it. Go back to what I made you. Renew it. Go back to who I intended you to be. Renew it. Your mind, not somebody else's idea of who you should be.
Come on. Now that'll preach all day long. My bootleg sisters.
Yeah, just preach that.
Oh, my bootleg sisters are fierce up in here. And new again. And it was new. He had an idea when he put you in here, but then we take on all of these other trappings that are not even us. And so now we need to renew what we are and who we are to get us back to our original intent and design that God had when he thought of us. That's a word. That was a word. Don't be transformed to this world, but don't be conformed, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So I just released a whole lot of people that no longer have to get up and make an announcement and saying the man of God. And you got to get that voice. You got to get that. You got to get all of that together, and oh my God.
You got to pull up all the bass you got.
It's all about that bass, no treble.
Mhm.
You can't have any trouble. So at the end of the day, you get the place where you can just be who God made you and come to your own light and come to the brightness of your dawn. Now, the last thing I wanted to say as we get out of here, because we're almost done. And I actually ran longer than I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to let you all out of here early, but I didn't talk too much. So this is what I felt in my spirit additionally. So I talk about, we understand that we are the pillar of fire by night for a lot of the world that is looking for light in a place where the earth is full of darkness and the people gross darkness. So as we come into this place and we know that we're called to be the models, then this is what I heard in my spirit. And I'll put it out there and then let you all comment on it. The Lord spoke in my spirit, and I've preached this many times. You all have heard it, I'm sure, but I really heard this today as I was thinking, and this was impressed. This is what I want you all to talk about. I heard the Spirit remind me, live now in video, not in photograph. Live now in video, not in photograph mode. By that, I mean, just like you take your phone and you can take pictures with your camera and you get the choice of whether you want to put it in video mode or whether you want to put it in photograph mode. And the Lord spoke to me. He said, too many people live their whole entire lives in photograph mode instead of being in video. Video's constantly moving. The cloud, the pillar of cloud by day, it's constantly moving. The pillar of fire by night, it's constantly moving. So the Spirit was saying, what's going to be one of the greatest enemies to this new age of God and the I am that I am and I am has sent me is that people are going to want to try to stay in photograph mode. And by that, I'm saying, this is what tends to happen when we get a tradition. And why do we get stuck to that tradition? Because at one point in time, that photograph, at one point in time, there was a mighty move of God. At one point in time, there was a mighty something that made you feel good, that was just awesome and just magnificent and just powerful at one point in time. But it was only one point in time. And instead of us following the pillar of cloud by day, or instead of us looking at the pillar of fire by night, instead of us following, because that cloud is constantly moving. Y'all know how clouds are. And since you can really talk about it, having come from FAA and that whole career, life's career, where you had to know the clouds and how to, all of that, you can probably preach this better than I can. But you know that cloud is not just sitting still. So at the end of the day, the Spirit is saying there are too many that want to take that photograph of a good time, a good memory, a good place, and they want to take that still shot. And instead of following the cloud, they will sit there and hover, and they'll wait, and they'll make a tradition, and they'll make a ritual, and they'll make a this and a that and the other, all reminiscent of that photograph when they missed the video. And so the Spirit says, but while you're so attached to that photograph, that still shot that you've made, and you've made a shrine to it, you've made a tradition to it, you've put some kind of ritual to it, you've made a shrine to that. But if you had just stayed in video, you would have got the next great thing. But you can't get the next great thing because you're still stuck on that still photograph. And I'm going to throw that out there and let y'all say what you want to say.
Well, the video is a movement.
Constantly.
And so a lot of times, even though you can capture a great moment in a still shot, that movement sucks you into the environment that was set in that time frame. Now I can do a good picture and oh, that's so nice. But when you when you see a movie, that movement of what is happening, it will suck you in, and you can feel that movement. You can feel the emotion. You can feel what was being captured, what those people may have experienced in that time, because it's moving and it's moving you as well. So that is, if you have a good actor, actress, they can really recapture that moment, but it's moving. And a lot of times God wants us to move. The old song said God is moving by his Spirit all over this world. And sometimes while you standing there looking at the pictures, it doesn't move past you and you be like, dang, how'd that get over there? It was
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah, yeah, that's a word. And even when you said that, Anita, one of the things that jumped up in my mind as you were talking about, and I did not necessarily make the movie association, but when you were talking and describing it right then, immediately, moving in that way, and the way that you brought that out, what that spoke to me is like energy moving. And that's one of the things that I've been talking about with those that I've been having conversation with about this next move of God. And the power of it is when you have energy moving in a positive way, and that energy and that moving, or the movie, you should be indwelling your energy as a movie, not a still shot. And when you said that, it was almost like, wow, I saw and heard that even as you were talking about it, the movie, that we should actually exemplify and be in our energy, a movie, so that we don't, because energy is not going to be still. Energy doesn't stay still. Energy is constantly moving. And the minute we get still and refuse to move, then we say and understand that we've just decreased or eliminated that level of energy right there. And that energy is moved on somewhere else and just left you sitting there with that still shot. So, I mean, oh my God. And I'm going to shut up because that just released a whole lot of things in my head. That was great. That was Sheila. How does that impact you?
Well, all I can say is cosign number 1 and cosign number 2. My only 3 words to add are point blank, period.
These are my bootleg sisters. I love y'all. Point blank, period. And so as we wrap this up, and I'm gonna let you all have your final words, and we'll close this out. But as we wrap this up, I gotta tell you, as I'm feeling this in my shando, y'all know that's my word. As I'm feeling this in my shando, I've got to remind you, listen, model your God's glory, model it. Don't put it under a bushel. Don't try to hide it. Do it with confidence. Do it with the strength of God and the anointing of God, and understand that you are a bright light shining in a very dark world, so that they can come to your light and they can come to your dawn and come into a new place of existence and living that has energy, a movie, not a still, but a movie that has the ability to make that energy and release that kinetic power in a way that we can change and transform this world. I am that I am, and I am has sent me in the age of God. And that's what I have to say. Now, my bootleg sisters, what do y'all have to say as we close this up?
Well, going back to the analogy of the runway, the being a model, you may not have a quote unquote title as a leader, but there are people following you. Mm-hmm. Just like on that runway, there is a whole host of other models who, they're counting on you to do your part, and they are going to come behind you. Don't be the bottleneck that keeps people from moving in this new move of God.
Come on.
Keep moving, because there's somebody who is not as maybe mature as you, but they see that there is something working in you, so they're willing to follow you, and as they learn to make their own way. But if you get stuck on that photograph and refuse to keep moving, you could be a hindrance to them moving forward as well.
Come on. Now, that's a good word. That is a rich word. Thank you. Good point. Yes.
Now, while you're modeling and being that light, you want to be the light to where when people get up close, they can feel that energy. That's when you know you're moving. Now, you can be what they got at Halloween time, them little glow lights. Ain't no energy in that. You can be a flashlight if you want to be, but you got to have a battery, and you got to make sure that battery's charged up. So that's good. They might look at you, but if you modeling the real fire, when you get close to that fire, it's got some energy and it's going to heat you up.
Come on.
And so when you walk down that runway, you got some sizzle with your fizzle. That's what we're going to do.
And there you have it. Model God's glory. glory. Will you please do it? And you heard it from my bootleg sisters. We're so glad you joined us on today. Isaiah, the 60th chapter, verses 1 through 3. Now you go out there and you be the model and model God's glory. Peace for your journey.